Hi there, it's Kevin with RogueDeckBuilder.com, here with March's episode of the Rogue Market. In this episode, I'll be choosing a few cards from both Modern and Standard, and trying to predict which cards will see a price increase in kind of the stale market that we've been dealing with lately. There hasn't been a lot of buzz lately with card increases, especially in Standard. Gatecrash was, besides Boros Reckoner and a few other cards, Gatecrash was pretty much a bust, and we're back to the same old rock, paper, scissors Standard that existed before Gatecrash. What I mean by rock, paper, scissors is when the aggro decks are the big part of the meta, then the mid-range decks come and beat them up, and then when the mid-range decks become the new format staples, then the control decks come and beat them up, and it's just this cycle that continues. So we're in one of those cycles right now, and that's the first card that I want to talk about is one of those cards that you see every time that aggro and mid-range become bigger in the format, and that's Angel of Serenity. Angel of Serenity was a big player back at the start of Return to Ravnica in the Bant decks as well as some of the junk mid-range decks, because it could really put you over the top with card advantage against the other mid-range decks. And we're starting to see Angel of Serenity find a home again, which is awesome because Angel of Serenity right now is $6. And I know I have made a horrible prediction back in the day, back a couple episodes ago when I said buy Angel Serenities, and it was like, I think it was either 15, I think they were either $15 or $20 when I made that prediction, and then we've seen Angel Serenity just take a nosedive down to $6. But now I think the Angel Serenity is at the bottom. I will call it this time. If this card goes down even more, I'll eat an Angel Serenity, and I'll tape it, because I have a hard time seeing Angel Serenity bottoming out from 6, especially with how much play we are seeing Angel Serenity. The new deck that Angel Serenity has been making quite the waves in is a Bant list. A Bant list that actually runs a lot like my junk mid-range deck, but instead of Disciple of Bolas, they use Prime Speaker Zegana as another card drawing engine, and then they can flash that with Restoration Angel and even Cloud Posts or whatever. I really like the deck. It's not a traditional Bant list. It's not a control-based Bant list. It is an aggressive deck. What it uses is Arbor Elves and Avacyn Pilgrims to try to get out early Thragtusk and Restoration Angels to stabilize, and then just takes over the game with Angel Serenities and or Prime Speaker Zeganas. And so my number one call is Angel Serenity is going to see more play again. If this is any sort of indication, and we'll see this price increase quite a bit from $6. I expect it to go back up to at least $12 to $15 within the coming month or two. Angel Serenity is way too low at $6. Return to Ravnica it's been a very weird set. I've never seen a set bottom out as bad as Return to Ravnica, and I think it's because I have seen some statistics here that this set has been opened so much more than any other set to this date. For how old it is. I mean, it is still released not too long ago. When was it? Back in, November? Or sometime in the fall was when Return to Ravnica was released. And so it's still a new set, and it's already surpassed all of Innistrad and any of that block in sales. Also, Return to Ravnica will be drafted one more time with Dragon Maze, as the traditional draft will be one Dragon Maze, one Gatecrash, one Return to Ravnica. So we will be seeing a little bit more openings of Return to Ravnica, but I don't expect it to be enough to bottom out the price even more. The one thing that I do think will continue to go down in value is the Shocklands. And we are already starting to see some of the other cards like Lotlith Troll, Abrupt Decay, and Deathrite Shaman make a little bit of a comeback, and the price increasing on those cards. But the whole set pretty much seems very bottomed out right now. So besides Angel of Serenity, there's a few cards like Supreme Verdict and Dreadbore and Detention Sphere that might be a bargain when they're sitting around like, $2 to $5 for those format staples. So I don't know if I would call right now being the time to buy Return to Ravnica, as it will be drafted one more time, like I said, with Dragon's Maze. But right now wouldn't be a bad time to start picking up those format staples. And my number one pick for this month is definitely Angel Serenity, just because of the amount of play it is starting to see in those Bant and Naya mid-range decks. Going on to number 2, which is basically in the same category as Angel Serenity, is Prime Speaker Zegana. Finally, she has found a home in that Bant mid-range deck. And the people that I've talked to that play that deck are loving the card. It just draws an insane amount of cards if you cast it the turn after, like, say, Thragtusk, or even if you have to just cast it after Restoration Angel's on the board. That's still, you're putting a 4/4 into play, and you draw 4 cards off of it, which isn't bad. It's kind of like the this version's Sphinx's Revelation with a beater. You automatically have that beater out, and you draw an insane amount of cards for the amount of mana you put into it. And so Prime Speaker Zegana has not found a home up to this point, and a lot of people have been holding out selling Prime Speaker thinking she would find a home, but she already did bottom to $8, and I can't see this card going down much further than $8. I definitely would put it on my watch list, if not on my buy list. There could be an opportunity for this card to go even more down in value, but I don't expect Gatecrash to bottom out as bad as Return to Ravnica. Typically, second sets aren't open as much as first sets, and this one won't have as much time before Gatecrash or Dragon's Maze comes in that Ravnica had before Gatecrash came in, and so I think less packs will be open just because of that. And besides Boros Reckoner, there wasn't, and the Shocklands, there wasn't as much to be excited about in Gatecrash as there was in Return to Ravnica. And just that alone, you might see some of these mythics retain their value better than, say, a lot of the Return to Ravnica mythics. You have the most expensive Return to Ravnica mythic besides Sphinx's Revelation is now, which also is low for mythic at $21, is Jace at $10, which also could be a steal right now if Jace does see play post rotation. So that's another card I definitely would keep my eye out on, is Jace, not the Mind Sculptor, Jace, Architect of Thought. That's the one. Moving on to a modern card that I've been seeing in deck lists here and there is Vengevine, and Vengevine has seen play every once in a while in Legacy, every once in a while in Modern. A deck will come around, and it has continued to fall from its... I think Vengevine at one point was a $40 card, and post-rotation it did see a big of a hit, and it has bottomed down to about 15. I think 15 is the lowest I've seen it in a long time, and it's a very popular card when the mid-range and control decks start to dominate Modern, and right now we're starting to see the shift going from hyper-aggressive decks over to the more tempo or mid-range decks like Rug. The Rug Vial is starting to be very popular. I'm starting to see Merfolk more and more. I'm starting to see UWR Flash, I would say, is probably the most popular deck right now, or I guess you'd call it UWR mid-range or UWR tempo. It's the good old Snapcaster, Restoration Angel, Lightning Helix, Cryptic Command, that type of deck. And Vengevine is the type of card that likes to punish those decks, as they can't deal with a Vengevine that keeps coming back. And there's a deck right now there's the good old Dredgevine that uses like Faithless Looting, and there's like, I think it's called Lightning Axe, where you have to discard a card to do 5 damage to a creature, and a few other kind of reanimator type decks that cast a bunch of cheap creatures to get Vengevine back from the graveyard into play. But also, I've been seeing a lot of Gruul decks that don't even have a graveyard strategy that are just using Vengevine as a 4/3 haster, and that also has the ability to make some of your low casting cost cards not dead cards later on, as they can get a Vengevine back. And that Gruul aggro deck does seem to be using a lot of Vengevines as well. Another rumor around the rumor mill is Vengevine is starting to be tested for Jund, for the Bloodbraid Elf position. A lot of people are very disappointed with Huntmaster and Olivia, and Jund, and Vengevine kind of reminds Jund of Bloodbraid Elf, as it is a haster just like Bloodbraid Elf, and the 4/3 is a little bit bigger than the 3/2 body, but it doesn't give you the card advantage. But that card advantage can come later on when you cast a Bob and a Deathrite Shaman or whatnot down the road, and you get a Vengevine coming back in from your graveyard. So I'd keep my eye out on Vengevine. I think $15 is a bargain, especially if any sort of graveyard reanimation in future sets comes out. You could see Vengevine definitely making its move in Modern. Back to Standard is another Return to Ravnica card, is Mizzium Mortars. Mizzium Mortars has seen a little bit of a bump increase from its $2 to $3 in last month, but I still think $3 is very cheap for how much play this card is seeing, especially post-rotation after Bonfire's out of the format. This will probably be the premier sweeper for Red. I'm not a big fan of Aurelius Fury. I'm not a big fan of Clan Defiance. I think Mizzium Mortars is better than both of those as far as being a board wipe. And it is just a bargain at $3. It sees a ton of play as a 4 of. It basically clears everything in the format. Kills Thragtusks, kills Restoration Angels, kills Geisa St. Traphs, kills Boros Reckoner, but then you take 4 off of it. But it's still a great card. It only being 2 mana to kill 1 creature and 6 mana to basically board wipe them. A very, very good card. It is seen everywhere in block constructed as well. So Mizzium Mortars at $3 I do think is a bargain. Going on to my number 5 pick is also a modern card that I think is just a mythic for modern that I think is just a bit too low for how much play it's seeing, and that is Hero of Bladehold. I talk about how Hero of Bladehold could definitely be an option in Soul Sisters, as I did win a PTQ with Soul Sisters, and one of the cards that I wish would have been in my sideboard was Hero Bladehold. Hero Bladehold would have came in versus most of those matchups that I played. It definitely would have came in versus the UWR mid-range decks. It definitely would have came in against the Rug Vile deck that I played against, and I definitely would have also put it in versus the Mirror Soul Sisters. And the UW control matchup, I think that Hero Bladehold would have been amazing there as well. Hero Bladehold also has seen quite a bit of play in the black-white tokens. You'll see black-white tokens gain popularity, then fizzle, then gain popularity again, then fizzle. It does very well against the mid-range decks. It did very well against Jund as well, and we are seeing Jund coming back in kind of a bug, either a bug version, so they're taking out red for blue, or the junk version that's taking out the red for white. And Hero Bladehold is good against both of those type of decks, as it can get you back. I mean, the idea of both of those Jund type decks is the discard through Thoughtseize and Inquisition. And Hero Bladehold, after they deplete their hand with Liliana, Thoughtseize, and Inquisition, Hero Bladehold kind of acts as card advantage, as it puts a creature that totally dodges Lightning Bolt and Abrupt Decay and brings in tokens that they have to deal with as well. So I think Hero Bladehold has a lot of room to grow. It was a promo, and it was a very unpopular promo. The anorexic Hero Bladehold art is what a lot of people like to call it. People just hate that artwork, and they refuse to even play that version. So you can actually even pick up the Hero Bladehold promos for even less than $5. But I think that if this deck does become a real deck, a more format staple deck, then I think that Hero Bladehold will definitely go up in value from its $5 price tag. So that's basically the state of the market right now. We have seen some huge price increases on cards like Thrun, and there have been a lot of legacy speculation recently, but I'm not going to get into that in that version. I might talk about it in another version, but anyway, let's go through my picks again for this month. Number 1 is Angel of Serenity. Number 2 is Prime Speaker Zegana. Number 3 is Vengevine. Number 4 is Mizzium Mortars. And number 5 is Hero Bladehold. This is Kevin from RogueDeckBuilder.com with the Rogue Market, Episode 5. Thanks for watching.